What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video.
I rep the West to the death, but my life is better. I've shed blood, shed tears, man, I stormed bad weather. I caught an L at 19, that's a cold-ass letter. But now I'm back in the world and trying to make it better forever. They counted me out at a young age, but now I'm living proof. I'm in this booth, I'm spitting truth, you see me on the tube. The Dove Show, homies bounce and roll. The Dove Show.
You know, I was thinking about how I've been out of prison over 8 years, right? And I've had a YouTube channel at least 8 years. When I got out of prison, I didn't know what YouTube was. I had been gone over 24 years, right? There wasn't really anybody doing the so-called prison stuff. I don't consider myself a prison channel. People always laugh and say, that's all you talk about. It's not all I talk about, but the vast majority of my content is that, right? And I always tell people, if I would have grew up on the streets out here in society and been a carpenter or a plumber or whatever, and I started a channel, my life, my channel would be about my life. And so that's what it is now. However, the reason why I started my channel, those of you that have been around, you already know. Those of you that are new to the channel, here it is. I had a life sentence. I was never supposed to get out. And a promise that I made to the board and to myself was, if I was to ever re-enter society, I would give back. When I first paroled, I was juggling 3 and 4 jobs at a time, right? I was still speaking to kids in juvenile hall, continuation schools, Catholic schools, colleges. I spoke at colleges, well, with college students, right? And that was part of my giving back. But like I said, I was juggling a bunch of jobs and real life sets in fast. And real life for someone who had never been a responsible member of society, I was eager to be that, right? And so I couldn't go to the juvenile halls anymore or the schools. I couldn't do the things that I really wanted to do because I had bills to pay. I had a family to take care of. I had to take care of myself. And then I came up with YouTube. Those of you, there's very few that have been around since the very beginning. In the very beginning, I would make videos. It wasn't until very recently, probably the last two and a half years maybe, where I took YouTube serious. I went full-time YouTube about 2 years ago. Prior to that, especially in the beginning, I didn't know there was any money in YouTube. I wasn't doing any of this for that. I was giving back, but I had a lot of work to do. I was a machinist, right? And I would do a video once a week, maybe twice a month. I would put the video on and it went wherever it went. I had a job to do, several jobs at the time, actually, right? And one of the things that to this day trips me out, and when I talk to some of the guys that I did time with, or some of the guys that did time or more time than me, but were incarcerated at the same time and we had life sentences, when we talk, one of the things that's always trippy to us is the fascination. The fascination that people have with prison. And it's not just the people on the streets. You'll have guys that actually went to prison out here in California, but they never hit a level 4 yard. And they have a fascination because when they were on that 1 yard or that 2 yard, they always heard these stories. And a lot of times the stories probably weren't even real. It's probably a little bit of truth mixed with a whole lot of lies. But there's that fascination. And then the flip side of that is, in my experience, Everyone who really did serious time, who really did shoe terms and who were really involved in violence in prison, we're like, damn, like, to us, I don't know. I wanted to do this video because I wanted people to understand, like, it's always been a thing here on my channel. Never glorify it. There's some people that say, "Oh, you said this, you said," and they make up stories. I've never said I never try to say when this group got into it with that group, this group won and that group lost. That's glorifying. I also don't like to tell any prison stories without a message. Every time I tell one of these stories, I'm trying to provoke thought. I'm trying to provoke positive thinking. I'm trying to provoke the eagerness to change. I've been blessed over these years to have a lot of DMs and a lot of comments come through that I actually help people. That's the core of this channel. I get caught up in other stuff. I'm human. Nobody likes to get punched in the face repeatedly and not punch back at some point, right? At the end of the day, I always pull myself back away from it and refocus. And that's what I wanted to do with this video. I wanted to talk about how I saw a lot of very treacherous things while I was in prison. I don't go into all the details about this stuff, right? But as I said, I know that a lot of people on the streets are fascinated, especially when it comes to California prisons. There's been a lot of movies. Hollywood has done their part to weave a whole web of deception, right? But living that life behind the walls, 180 yards, level 4s, the prison politics that occur, it's not fun when you're living in a world where you may get really tight with somebody, really cool with somebody, but he's never your friend. Once you get out here with them and you run into them again, you can form a bond, a friendship out here. Behind those walls, no matter who you have around you, you are expendable and so are they. And if you don't pay attention to what's going on around you, you may make enemies that you never knew you made. And you may wind up in one of their traps. There were times in my prison career where I had to vote against guys that I was very cool with. That's how it is. And I think a lot of people don't get that out here. I think a lot of people out here think, nah, that's your homie. Like when I told the story of Jimmy loaning me the TV, and they're like, how could you do that? How could you go with somebody to move on Jimmy after Jimmy looked out? Because the laws of that society are very different from the laws out here. Things that are done there, they're eternal. And what I mean by that is, you may have an interaction with someone that you may think it ain't really all that. He ain't no better than you. But then one day you find out 10, 15 years down the line, that guy got made. He's a legend now. And you forgot about that interaction. You know why? Because you guys were on equal footing, equal grounds. 10, 15 years ago when it happened. But he had a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he lost something politically. You outvoted him or you outmaneuvered him. Guess what? If you didn't get made and he did, he didn't forget. All those years later. There is no brotherly love in prison. Carnalismo, all that. Look, when it's time for battle, everybody gets together, wishes each other well, hope we all make it through. You engage, you do your thing. And when the dust settles, it's always going to be your own that are plotting on you. It's not going to be another faction. Those engagements occur, and then you disengage and you go back to paying attention to what your own people are doing. I guess there will always be a fascination with a life that people have never lived. But I just, one of the things I always try to stress on my channel, people try to act like I'm trying to dictate what other people say and do. I'm not. But I always try to stress the truth is so ugly. We don't need to add extras. If you want to tell about your life experiences and you remain in your comfort zone, not all of us have the same comfort zone. Tell the truth. Because, somebody left a comment the other day and they said, oh, well, you weren't there and you didn't know this and that. Oh, no. That's not how prison works. I'm aware of stuff that happened at other prisons while I was incarcerated. Intimate details of stuff. So there are some secrets, but when somebody gets on YouTube and they start telling a story, and if it's a story that it involves people that and the story's inaccurate, then it's like, what's this guy doing? For the people out here, it doesn't matter. And that's one of the things I have to wrap my head around. People out here don't care. They just want to hear a good story. Whether it's true or not. That's why they go and watch the prison movies. I don't watch those prison movies. People ask me all the time, what's more real, American Me or Blood In, Blood Out, and all these. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch those movies. I was in prison the majority of my life. I don't want to watch movies about prison. They don't impress me. Before I go, once again, I do what I do out of good intentions. Try to give people a glimpse at how ugly the truth really is. That's all we need. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.